Bulavinaka. I'm Va from the National Trust of Fiji, helping to protect Fiji's natural and cultural heritage right here in the South Pacific.
Bula, I'm Tom, creator of the Meaning of Trees podcast and an ancient tree specialist with roots in the UK.
Come with us on a journey to explore the hidden and forgotten worlds of Fiji's heritage trees.
Our planet is changing, but for 350 million years, trees have remained essential to life on Earth. And that's no different today.
As the people of Nandronga would say, Vahewa Merewa, which translates to slow and steady wins the race.
They're way before us. Trees and forests have forever been instrumental in shaping our beliefs, our ways of life, and who we are today. Humans are, by their nature, an arboreal creature in origin.
All is not yet lost though. Hidden in plain sight, trees of great age and stature continued to link us back to our ancestors and to a slower pace of life. Watching silently over the world below them like great sentinels of time.
And it's not just the ancient environments that we're saying goodbye to, but also the reminders of things much older and bigger than ourselves. And the calming effect this can have upon our bodies and minds day to day. Trees speak of greater connection.
Sadly though, around the world right now, we are losing our oldest and most precious trees and forests, along with the many beautiful plants and animals that rely upon them. The very foundations of our natural history are being slowly but surely erased. From the foods we depend upon and the fires we cook with, to the medicines and songs that heal us.
When it comes to thinking about what trees mean to the people of Fiji today, it's impossible to overlook the humble coconut. A tree with hundreds of uses, the coconut has long been known as the tree of life in the South Pacific.
We spoke to Intangible Heritage Ambassador Simeone Sevundrendre to get his thoughts on just how deeply this tree species is ingrained in Fijian life and culture, and the importance of trees in protecting lost heritage.
For the word coconut, we have different words to denote different stages of maturity. We have descriptions like mo, that means a green coconut that's just right for drinking. And then there's this nrokai, yet to reach that right condition. Then there's this soto. Soto is when it's over. It has lost its lemonade fizzy quality. And then there's varo, where you crack open the coconut and there's no juice left. They say it's coconut apple, but we call it varo. This is where we derive a seedling and we propagate more coconuts. The flesh is grated and it gives our organic milk. And when it's boiled, it becomes our base for coconut oil. And then scented flowers are added to it for sandalwood, ylang-ylang, etc. They are herbs that give it like a talisman sort of as a charm to ward off negative vibes, negative energy. But it is gifted by elderly matriarchs or patriarchs whose role is healing. The trunk is cut into sizable stumps. They become our chairs in the community. Many of us, when we grew up, the moment we are born, our umbilical cord, once it falls off, moms and grandmothers look for the nearest coconut palm and they bury our umbilical cord near the coconut tree, or they actually plant sprout, coconut sprout, not only connecting us back to Mother Earth, but also planting in us literally and figuratively. May you be adaptable, versatile, and useful like the coconut. You take a coconut that's fallen off a tree and you throw it into the water, and you put your foot down on it, it goes underwater, you bobs up again. The coconut also tells us of our resilience. We draw from the coconut, but it applies to all trees. Our notions of identity, of our resilience, and our adaptability. Our older brothers, our trees, our coconuts are there to tell us, hey, we're here, don't forget us.
People of Fiji have long shared a deep and inseparable kinship with trees, from myths and creation stories through to the sacred totems that give many of us our unique sense of identity and purpose here.
People talk about nature-based solutions, but long before that, we have nature-based identities. What does a tree mean to me? From an indigenous perspective, trees, first and foremost, are our older siblings. Secondly, we have totem trees. When I say we, traditional family units and subunits all over Fiji each have a totem tree. Long before our ancestors knew about botany and science and forestry, their framing of this was a subjective slash spiritual dimension. So a tree is actually our older sibling, and we are extensions of our trees. To hurt them is to hurt us. One does not profane or exploit family. And in that respect, the earth is our family.
Even in the city, where development and concrete blanket the land and soil, veteran trees live amongst the hustle and bustle all around them.
A heritage tree is any tree with a strong story or significance attached to it. Many heritage trees are of great age and size, having survived for centuries despite the many pressures they've come under in modern and industrial times.
Fiji's capital, Suva, has its own collection of heritage trees, with some of these predating all of the buildings, roads and walkways that now surround them. Perhaps Fiji's most famous tree, this Iwi, or Tahitian chestnut, hit the headlines in 2012 when it was due to be cut down following storm damage.
The tree was thankfully saved following a public campaign to keep it, and Suva resident Carson Young remembers this time well.
That's a very significant tree in the whole landscape of Suva and the country, because everyone knows about that Iwi tree. Obviously, it was encased in concrete, and that didn't really help with its health. It was also a spot where a lot of people would gather, and at one point, a lot of trash was tucked into the trunk, and it did catch fire at one point. So when the hurricane came, it wasn't hard to see the damage that was inflicted on that tree. But we're happy it's still around. Some other significant things about the tree is that used to be the shoreline of very, very old Suva. I would imagine that tree have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of drua pass by. That's an image that the entire country would die for.
Carson is leading a diverse team of traditional craftspeople and high-tech engineers to create a huge wind-powered sea vessel inspired by the mythical twin-hulled canoes once built by Fijian boat builders back in the day to take hundreds of people safely across the oceans.
The crew have an appetite for blue water sailing. And so right from the outset, we built with a mission to sail around the world. If it were to be classed, it'd be classed as a super yacht.
Bola benaga. Rangu o semiti dama. Au mai mode, mai lau. O wasunga ge ongea. Samba ke bitsa ka bulu diwan. ni kuwa.
What we did not want to do was to be extractive in our quest for information. We believe that traditional knowledge should always stay with traditional knowledge holders. We have here Tuosemiti. They represent a whole repository of information that's not in books, and it's up to them to share. It's exciting because we've come to really understand this enigma and just understanding the beauty, the science behind this very, very old technology. We plan to use as much timber as we possibly can to mimic or replicate these great canoes of the past. But at the same time, we are very conscious of the fact that we don't have access to timber like in the past.
The Woah has eyes, and so does the forest. Here in the Waisali Highlands of Woah Levu, Senior Ranger Lekima Movere has been helping to protect the large areas of pristine rainforest close to his village since he was 16 years old.
Sing of the land and of the people.
In my own experience, this forest is different than the other forest because this is one of the forests that hasn't been touched or disturbed. Everything is in nature and it hasn't been logged. Some of the species that you can find in this forest, there's two Fiji's endangered frogs. One is the tree frog, which they usually lives in the pandanus tree. The other one is the ground frog. Also, there is 47 species of orchids in this forest. Some of the ants that are in this forest, they usually live in one of the tree that grows on another tree. It's called the ant tree, and the ants are living inside the tree. And most of these ants are endemic in Fiji. Some of the heritage tree that grows in this forest are the ko tree, yaka tree, the bombo tree, and there's a reason why they grow old in this forest. It's because they're being protected and never been touched. Birds like the parrot, they used to nest in these big trees like the ko trees because they knew it's an old tree and no one can disturb them from that. We need to protect our forest because a lot of areas in Fiji have been logged out, and it is important for us to protect our forest because we are protecting plants and animals, the rivers, and all living things. These things are also sacred to the Woah.
Land clearances, selective logging, and plantations following colonial times have led to many older trees being removed from Fiji's old-growth forests, placing the rich indigenous habitats they support under great pressure. We asked Fiji's conservator of forests, Sanjana Lal, for her thoughts around the stewardship of our trees.
I've worked in forestry for like 30 years, but a lot of my impression of trees are from my childhood. When I look at trees, I don't think of timber at all, even lamb. Trees are just like values, It's because of the forest that you're having a fresh, clean glass of water. The cereal box that you have in the morning, the paper you write on. None of us think of trees. Go back to the basics. Can you live without trees? There's special trees which are quite primitive, and one of the most primitive trees we have is the Ecmopyle seniana. It's called dry tambua in Fijian because the leaves are shaped like the wings to tambua. They might not be as important for timber, but they have these qualities, these features that they are linked to the past in some way. And if we don't protect the habitats, we'll probably lose them. As foresters, We are told that we are stewards of forests, but in the end, it's the communities themselves that we depend on. It's more about the people.
Living in harmony with the land and each other is the only way to preserve what's important to us all.
We met with landowner Romeo Veitevi and National Trust Fiji's Asaya Kumisele, who are keen to bring focus to heritage tree conservation in the communities around the Sovi Basin protected area where they both live.
In the olden days, before goggles arrived and other instrument, they used the Woah tree as a significance of landmark. The Woah is the totem tree here at Waimaro in the Nasirutu village. It signifies strength to the local community, Whenever you see one of them, you will be afraid to do something wrong in a community. We have the knowledge of the Woah.
Kumbotin sinawari todo na nambula ke wasare unaka sinawan direkine busumi.
So he said that the young generation, they will did not have the knowledge to know their totem trees, maybe with the despairing of traditional knowledge.
Na baka pandunu makono ku mai me na already ni nduna buni kaule na baka ko yang apakaliu na.
What Uncle Rami has been saying that from his life in the village, Baka is one of the known trees in the community. That's the most place the kids went to play hide and seek. They use the string roots as a swing. And also he said that some of the roots were used as nails for pigeon burres to tie the poles together, making bamboo raft. And the sap that comes out like a milky fluid, so it's also used for medicines. One of the lady in the community mentioned that this medicine used for the ladies before or after they give birth. They can drink that to cure ache. In a place when we see a baka tree, due to its umbrella canopy, it's the most lovely place because of its provided shade, and it's a place where people can socialize and gather together, where we can rest and have a piece of sandwich. They stand there in the ridge as guardians to the generation of trees in the forest. It's like they are the mother of all the trees.
It's not always our native species that need special protection when it comes to heritage trees. This vai or rain tree was probably one of the first introduced of its species to Fiji back in the early 1800s. Veteran trees like these ones would have provided shade and shelter for our livestock, and they would have maybe been meeting places as well in times gone by. The main problems facing older trees are the same across the whole world. Very rarely do they have legal protection. Older trees are often forgotten or ignored in development too. Sometimes they can be cut like a younger tree, which is able to grow back with more strength than an older tree. And beneath our feet is a network of roots, fungi, microorganisms that are helping trees to access water, which is vital for them to live. And it's also helping to support their immune systems. Even the oldest trees are just giant plants at the end of the day. They need sunlight and they need water to survive. With things warming in the climate across the world, the care of the rooting environment has never been more important in helping old trees to live on so that the next generation and our children can know and enjoy them too, just as we have. We've got to think carefully about how we can let them be trees, let them keep on going, and how we can really minimize any kind of damage to the tree above ground and below it as well. I wonder which tree where you live has the greatest story to tell, and I wonder what you might be able to do in your local community to just bring a greater appreciation for these veteran and sometimes ancient beings.
Mobile technology and time spent in the city have changed the way we interact with the world around us. Without the right routines and boundaries in place, we can find ourselves feeling cut off from our own communities and from other living things, affecting our mental health and well-being over time.
Meli Tanuku Nakalvandra is a counselling student and mental health advocate at Fiji National University. He thinks that trees have an important role to play in helping us maintain grounding in our lives.
I'm somebody who always wanted to be around nature, away from the business of life, the hustle and bustles of town cities. So I find comfort in being in a place that is full of trees, and it helps me to unpack these emotions, these stress things that normally happens when you're in town areas and in industrial places. It just gives me that sense of stillness, and I'm more relaxed. growing up, I see our old people, they usually have time for us, teach us these things, the traditional, how to conserve the resources. But now, because of technology, because of the changes that are coming in, people value other things more than your family. We were taught how to look up the resources, the type of soil, what does it represent? That bird, if it's chirping at night, what does that mean? The kind of leaves, the weather. There was no books, there was no nothing. We were just using trees. It was through knowledge, sharing traditions, traditional dances, chants, poetry, clothes, the trees and everything. It spoke to everybody. To know how to survive. Like that is the most basic thing about human beings. Survival is the necessary, and we were taught that. Look at the things that are around you, observe, and know that you're not alone. If you think stress, look at the trees. Look at these birds, look at these things that are around you. That is what will make us become a mindful person, a very resilient person, and also somebody that is resourceful.
Bula, my name is Anna. Woah and Tom have asked me to share with you a poem at this incredible baka tree. We hope next time you see an old tree, wherever you are, you might think a little differently about its importance to your life, your futures, and where you and your loved ones have come from. Something worth protecting for centuries, for sure. The title of my piece is Wooden Thoughts. The trunk, is it the roots or the leaves that makes the tree? Whatever it is, the branch's web reaches all three. Quiet and still, without any wind, the strength of the tree we see, holding its roots so well, oh how we mutually depend on each other like heaven sent. Medicinal properties, protective in ways from rays and climate change, its ways, kids' wings and tree houses, happiness it display. Inseparable kinship we share with trees of young and old. If trees can talk, oh what a story it'll tell. 350 million years, so many decades have passed. Loss of the olden trees we failed to protect, along with beautiful plants and animals, they rely upon them. All is not yet lost. A hope hidden amongst us all. Trees of age, they dance in plain sight. Let's link up now and see where they lie. Most trees are older than me and also predates the cities we live in. They have seen kingdoms and governments rise and fall, giving shade like no other, an umbrella to all. Through hardship and change, they stood tall. Wars and cyclones are minions with claws. Let them be grateful of the watchful eyes where trees are meant for all. Let's all embrace where trees meets the sea and land that unites us all.
I know you're hearing this. I speak broken English, but who cares about that when your rhymes are fat?